Our top story this week, the ambitious food security bill, which has been a flagship program of the ruling UPA government. Now it remains mired in political controversies. In fact, this week alone, left parties came together asking the government to widen the coverage of the food security bill, which already aims to provide subsidized food grain to nearly 70% of India's population. On the one hand, left parties want the bill to be widened. On the other hand, experts and economists are questioning whether we can afford the food security bill, and even if we can afford it, whether we can actually ensure that subsidies reach the people who actually need it, something that India struggled with on various subsidy fronts. Now, as things stand right now, the government is trying to push ahead with the bill, but various changes may be needed. Faizan Khan reports.
India's left parties uniting to protest the government's proposed food security bill, which hopes to provide cheap and subsidized food grain to nearly 70% of the Indians. In a 5-day protest which began this week, left parties came together to demand changes to the bill, asking the government to bring a universal public distribution system.
We will still say the amount of money you will spend administratively to ensure that the 30% will not be covered will be more than the money you will spend on subsidy to give a universal right. So I said, why go through this entire exercise and charade and open up newer and newer avenues for corruption?
Protests and demands by left parties only reflect the sharp divisions that have emerged over the food security bill, which was first proposed as an election promise by the ruling UPA government. The bill, which was approved by the government earlier this year, originally proposed to provide legal entitlement for cheap grains to 75% of the rural households and to 50% of urban households. The plan was to provide 7 kgs of subsidized grain per person per month to priority category and 3 to 4 kgs per person to general category households. Rice was to be given to priority sector households at 3 rupees a kg, wheat at 2 rupees a kg and coarse cereals at 1 rupees a kg. To general category household, it was to be given at a price related to the government minimum support price for the crop. But even as the Standing Committee of Parliament considers the original draft of the bill in hope of tabling it in the winter session of the Parliament, questions continue to be raised on whether bill needs to be changed to make coverage wider and less segregated. A plan suggested by noted social economist George Reyes has proposed a new model which is now being considered as Plan B by the government. Plan B proposes to provide uniform 5 kgs per person per month to all poor families, irrespective whether they are below or above poverty line.
The earlier framework based on multi-layered targetings with 3 different categories and different entitlements, different prices and all that was basically impractical and counterproductive. And therefore it is moving towards a simpler framework where some people would be excluded and everybody else would have the same entitlements.
The modalities of the bill are only one point of the debate. Another relates to whether India has enough resources and enough food stock to meet the needs of the food security bill. The government has argued that with the record food grain surplus that India currently has, there is no better time than now to implement the food security bill. But with climate conditions turning adverse and many states in India facing drought-like conditions, some concerns have re-emerged over whether India would be able to manage the increased food needs. The government, however, remains sanguine on that count.
What we need is about 55 million tons of food grains. And when it is 2011 census, then it becomes 55, becomes 60 million tons. And when the food security bill comes, it is 62. So anyhow, we are committed to the TPDS system and we need 55 million tons. From 55 to 62, it is something manageable.
While providing food grain may not be the concern right now, finding the funds to support the bulging food subsidy bill at a time when India is attempting to bring down its fiscal deficit. The bill could mean an additional cost of 27,000 crore rupees to the exchequer and would raise the total food subsidy bill to a massive 1.2 lakh crores. But the government calculations show the bill may not have much impact on the deficit.
Of course, the original proposal does require some more subsidies compared to the present situation. However, the addition is pretty small, and at least immediately it's probably zero or even negative.
The concerns don't end there, and perhaps the biggest challenge in implementing the food security bill lies in the last mile delivery of the subsidized food grain. India has been notorious for leakages in its PDS and subsidy systems. In a now famous comment, Rajiv Gandhi in 1985 stated that 90% of India's subsidies don't reach the intended beneficiaries. Since then, estimates of leakages may have changed, but no one can deny that ensuring efficiency delivery of food subsidies under the new bill will be a huge task in itself.
How do you deliver it if you do not involve the panchayats as the delivery point? Not until the entire food distribution system is taken out of the civil supplies department and the civil supplies departments of corrupt officers and the contractors that they hire and placed in the hands of the community to feed themselves will we get effective delivery and justice in delivery.
As the debate rages on various aspects of the food security bill, the implementation of the bill continues to be pushed back. The original draft of the bill is being scrutinized by the Parliamentary Standing Committee, but with changes likely to be made, the deliberations may stretch out.
Why is government waiting for a bill or law? All these provisions, whatever government wants to do, whether it is 25 kg or 35 kg, whether it is universal or targeted, whether it is differentiated or uniform throughout the state, they can do it right now. Why are they waiting?
Food security bill in India is one of the most ambitious socio-economic program and the one which has received considerable domestic and foreign acclaim. And even some say implementation of bill of such nature, India could set example for rest of the world in providing food justice. However, like everything else in India, implementation of the bill will be a big challenge, and ensuring that it doesn't fall prey to familiar inefficiencies like leakages and corruption. In New Delhi, Faizan Khan, NDTV Profit.
India's #1 news app just got even better. Download NDTV's new app. Fully optimized for retina display. Full screen view. Faster response time. And Sudoku. NDTV's new iPad app. Download now.